And I'd like to call to order the January 24th, 2018 formal City Council meeting. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Councilman DeCiccio. Here. Councilwoman Gallego. Here. Councilman Nowakowski. Councilwoman Stark. Here. Councilman Valenzuela. Councilman Waring. Here. Councilwoman Williams.
Here.
Vice Mayor Pastor.
Here.
Mayor Stanton.
I would like to introduce the interpreter, Marlene Orea. Could you please say a few words?
Yes. Buenas tardes, mi nombre es Marlene Orellana, yo soy la intérprete de español y si en algún momento durante la junta necesita mis servicios, por favor véame a mí o a alguien del personal de la ciudad. Gracias.
Thank you. And I have two citizen comment cards. The first one is Purple Fire. And you will have 3 minutes, Purple Fire.
Hello, everyone. Good afternoon. I wishing all of them have a successful 2018, okay? I still talking about Chinese Culture Center. Actually, this is my third time here. I want here before ask all of them one question. Do you guys only love American food or Mexican food or Chinese food or Japanese food? You guys only love Chinese food. Is it correct or no? Yes or no? No, right? So not only love Chinese food or American food or Korean food, right? So my meaning say Chinese Culture Center, we are now built in the Phoenix, 44th Street, bylaw 202. It's like I said, not only part of our Chinese community. It means that United States is really this country really need, like I said, different culture as well, you know. So also I want to say, because Chinese Culture Center now is a new owner, and yes, something happening in our community. So now new owner is American, but I wish it's a Chinese Culture Center still there forever for our Arizona, for our Phoenix. And then this is really such amazing, beautiful community. And then also, I want to say, like I say, Chinese Culture Center in our Phoenix, like our everybody from all the world come to United States. Then we have a different kind of religion. So we have part of our life, like me, I born in China, of course, 50 years old, of course. To be the habit, I love Chinese food first. American love American food. Japanese food, right? But since all around the world, people came to United States, anyone who have love, it doesn't matter you born in Chinese. Like me, I love American food very much. Not because in this country, I love American food, and then I love, like I say, Mexican food as well, right? So I say, my meaning is to say, Chinese Culture Center, really important for our, here, for our United States, for our Phoenix, Arizona, because that is part of our Phoenix history. And then not just come by, we are Chinese community, you know. Today I feel a little bit sad because we are not that many Chinese here. But I do still stand my right because.
Thank you, Purple Fire.
Yeah, because I want to
your
say.
Time is up.
Vice Mayor, thank you so much for.
Thank you. Thank you, Purple Fire. Steve Schumacher.
Thank you. Good afternoon. I just wanted to take my 3 minutes primarily to talk a little bit about one of my passions, which is preserving Phoenix history. And in preparation to come here for the 3 minutes, I did a little research as to, because I've never been in this building before, and I thought, I wonder what was here 100 years ago. And I thought, I did a little research, looked up a few maps, found that 100 years ago at this time, what was in this location where the council chambers are is actually the Phoenix Chamber of Commerce building, which I thought, well, that's quite a coincidence. And I also thought that 2 doors down that way on what was Second Avenue was the city undertaker as well. So that might be a little bit of a coincidence. My purpose in coming here today is really to ask the mayor and the city council to consider March 12th, 2018 as Phoenix History Day. Now, why do I ask that? Well, if you think about the primary topic that has always been a discussion since the early days of Phoenix, other than downtown parking, has always been water. And March 12th, 2018 represents the 150th anniversary of Jack Swilling. If you know anything about Phoenix history, Jack Swilling and his crew had finished the very first canal out in East Phoenix, which became Mill City and the first Phoenix town site. 150 years ago, on March 12th, they actually opened that first canal to release water into what became Phoenix and the whole valley. And every bit of growth from Phoenix stems from that event. So that's why I put that out to you. My interest in Phoenix history started when I discovered that there was a marker honoring Jack Swilling and the original town site out around near 28th Street in Van Buren. But then in 2003, an errant driver ran over that marker and pretty much demolished it. Unfortunately, a City of Phoenix crew came and picked it up, but it disappeared. So that began my Phoenix history quest and my passion, because I didn't think that was right. And thankfully, getting to know Lorene Montero at Pueblo Grande, she was able to reinstall a marker out near there. So what I have done is I wrote this story that you may have seen. I mailed it to each one of you along with the handwritten note, as well as an attachment earlier to an email. And this story, I hope, would inspire someone in this group between the council members and the mayor to take a little more positive action in determining March 12th, 2018 as Phoenix History Day. So thank you. I appreciate your time.
Thank you, I really appreciate it. City Clerk, can you read the 24-hour paragraph?
The titles of the following ordinance and resolution numbers on the agenda were available to the public at least 24 hours prior to this council meeting and therefore may be read by title or agenda item only. Ordinances number G 6409 through 6411, S 44177, 44201, and 44209 through 44246.
Thank you. Do I have a motion for mayor's boards and commissions?
Motion to approve mayor's boards and commissions.
There's a second.
Mayor, can I ask to pull the ethics portion of it out and vote on the others first?
So,
Excellent. Amend the motion. The motion is to approve mayor's boards and commissions nominations, except the ethics commission.
okay. So, voice vote. All
Aye.
those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? I don't think so. Oh, yeah, you just voted on it. Okay, so which item is,
The
I know,
ethics.
ethics item. Is there a motion for the ethics, or would you like to speak about it?
I just had some comments, is that it was brought to my attention some concerns on the vending process of it, and that there's
Councilman
some.
Nowakowski, can I interrupt you real cross?
Absolutely.
I need a motion on the ethics.
Okay.
Motion to approve mayor's nominations to the ethics commission.
Second? Go ahead.
I was brought to my attention some concerns that individuals have on the process of choosing individuals, and if there are actually some violations or not. So with that, I'm going to be voting no.
Okay. Are there any other,
With that, perhaps we should continue it so we could look more into those concerns. Would that be? Okay. So can I withdraw my original motion and move that we continue the mayor's, boards, and commissions nominations till the February 7th meeting of the Phoenix City Council?
there's a second? There's a second, and we are continuing this to look into some of the applicants, how people were chosen and applications. The other piece is that we also need 7 votes, right? Okay. So, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Those any opposed?
Aye.
Okay. Motion carries. Thank you.
Motion to approve city council, boards, and commissions nominations?
Any that oppose? No? That motion carries. Now I do something, right? Okay, thank you. I will meet everybody over here. As you can see, I'm a rookie at this. You guys say your name, do something. Keep going, and then you guys repeat. Where's Will? Are we ready? Raise your right hand. See, I'm a rookie at this. I do solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution and laws of the state of Arizona, that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same and defend them against all enemies, foreign and domestic, and that I will faithfully and impartially discharge the duties of the office of to best ability, so help me God. Woo, we did it. Thank you. Okay, here we go. Councilman Gallego?
Motion to approve items 3 through 25.
Second.
All those approve?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. I had some cards, they were all in favor and don't wish to speak. Thank you very much.
I make a motion to suspend the rules and take item 47 out of order.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you.
Move approval of item 47, the swearing in of our municipal court judges, and congratulations.
Second.
There's a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any
Aye.
opposed? None. Motion carries. I was going to use their names.
Individually, alphabetically.
However. You guys ready? Yes. I
Marianne Bayardi.
Michael Hensey.
Eric Jeffrey.
Hercules Alexander Dallas.
Thank you. Put your hand up. Do solemnly swear that I support the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution and laws of the state of Arizona, that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same and defend them against all enemies, foreign and domestic, and that I will faithfully and impartially discharge the duties of the office of municipal judges according to the best of my ability, so help me God. Thank you. Congratulations. City Clerk, are we ready for ordinances, resolutions, new business, and planning and zoning?
Yes, ma'am.
Motion to approve items 26 through 97, except the following. Items 28, 29, 30, 59, 61, 71, 79, and 97. Item 37 has been withdrawn. Item 47 has already been heard. Item 72 is as revised.
Perfect. Which one?
I would add 80 to that motion. 80.
So, do you have a second? Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Oh, roll call. Roll call. Cicio.
Can we take out, I think, well, yeah, that'll be fine. That was fine. Yes. I just,
Gallego.
Yes.
Noakowski. Yes. Stark.
Yes.
Valenzuela. Waring. Williams.
Yes.
Pastor.
Yes.
Mayor Stanton.
Yes.
Thank you. The motion passes. So we are on item, is it 28?
Move approval of item 28, Airports Council International.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. Roll call.
DeCiccio.
no.
Gallego.
Yes.
Noakowski. Yes. Stark.
Yes.
Waring. Williams.
Yes.
Pastor.
Yes.
Mayor Stanton.
Yes.
Passes
6-2. It passes 6-2. Item number 29.
Move approval of item 29, American Association of Airport Executives.
Second.
There's approval and a second. Roll call.
DeCiccio.
No.
Gallego.
Yes.
Noakowski. Yes. Stark. Yes. Waring. Williams.
Yes.
Pastor.
Yes.
Mayor Stanton.
Yes.
That has passes 6-2. Item number 30.
Item number 30 is a expanded partnership with the Canada-Arizona Business Council. This one's exciting for me. I was just last night at DIRT, a business in my district that relocated from Canada, and this is very timely as we're about to welcome new nonstop service between Sky Harbor and Canada. So move approval of item 30.
Second.
There's an approval and a second. Roll call.
DeCiccio. Gallego.
Yes.
Noakowski. Stark. Waring. Williams.
Yes.
Pastor.
Yes.
Mayor Stanton.
Yes.
6-1. That item passes. Number 37's been withdrawn. We're on item 59. Is there a motion for item 59?
Move approval.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. Roll call.
DeCiccio.
Yes.
Gallego.
Yes.
Noakowski.
Yes.
Stark. Williams.
Yes.
Pastor.
Yes.
Mayor Stanton.
Yes.
You know, I have a question really quick. I know that several times individuals have asked from different medias if what's the process of leasing offices? Is there a process or somewhere, some person we can send people to? Or is this just exclusivity to the Arizona Republic?
Vice Mayor, Councilman Nowakowski, the space on the 11th floor has been leased to the Republic or the Gazette, now just the Republic, I believe since City Hall opened 25 years ago. So I'm not familiar with what the process was at that time. There is no other space on the 11th floor, but if someone wanted to inquire, another media outlet wanted to inquire, I would have them work with the Public Works Director, Ginger Spencer, and the Public Works Department controls the building. So if you have someone, we can get them directed there and we can talk about what's available.
Perfect, thank you.
It passed 6.
That's 7-0.
7-0, okay. Item 61, I will move over to Councilwoman Gallego. I have to recuse myself from this item.
Move approval of item 61.
Second.
Roll call?
DeCiccio.
No.
Gallego.
Yes.
Nowakowski. Stark. Waring. Williams.
Yes.
Mayor Stanton.
Yes.
Passed 5-2. Item number 71.
Item number 71 is refuse truck body repair services. This is an item, some of our refuse trucks were actually built by a company that still has them under warranty, and so there was, we had a transparency meeting, and there was some potential issues here. So I would love to see this one return to the Transportation and Infrastructure Subcommittee in 6 months for review, just to make sure that everything is okay. So I would move approval of this contingent on it returning to the Transportation and Infrastructure Subcommittee for review after 6 months.
And is that for the warranty?
Just to review the performance on the whole contract, but
Performance?
particularly to look at the warranty issues.
Okay. Second.
Vice Mayor, Councilman Gallego, so my understanding is it would be an approval of the first year of the contract, but contingent, and then return to the Transportation Infrastructure Subcommittee for a report on the performance of the contract, and any action for the second year of the contract would come out of that meeting to the full council.
Right, so exactly.
Okay.
And then before we renew it, we would have had that review.
There was a second. Anybody else have any questions? Okay, roll call.
DeCiccio. Gallego.
Yes.
Nowakowski. Stark. Waring. Williams.
Yes.
Pastor.
Yes.
Mayor Stanton.
Yes.
Councilman Valenzuela, are you on the line?
I am. My vote is yes. Thank
Okay,
you.
thank you. Item number 79.
Item number
I
72, I
we
think.
missed 72.
And I think I will let Councilwoman Stark make that motion, as she's been working very hard on this.
Actually, we voted on it
Oh, it was on
in the
the-
omnibus, but
did
thank
we?
you.
Yeah.
I
Oh, okay.
appreciate the compliment.
Then I just wanted to make sure that Councilwoman Stark got compliments for her great work on.
Wanted to make sure that it happened.
Move approval of item 79.
Second,
Second.
all those in favor? Nope, roll call. 79.
DeCiccio.
79.
Gallego.
Yes.
Nowakowski. Stark. Valenzuela.
Yes.
Waring. Williams.
Yes.
Pastor.
Yes.
Mayor Stanton.
Yes.
Item
80.
80.
Move approval of item 80.
Second.
There's approval for item 80. Roll call.
DeCiccio. Gallego.
Yes.
Nowakowski. Stark. Valenzuela.
Yes.
Waring. Williams. Pastor.
Yes.
Mayor Stanton.
Yes.
It was approved by 8-1. Item 97.
Ask for a staff report.
Hi, Mr. Stevenson. Could you give us a staff report on the downtown code provisions and clarification text amendment?
Thank you. Councilwoman, Councilwoman and members of the council. This item 97 is a text amendment to the downtown code for provisions and clarifications related to our downtown code. It's text amendment ZTA 10-13, ordinance G6409. This proposed text amendment addresses several issues that have come up now that the city has been implementing the downtown code. Many of the projects that you see that have been under construction under the last several years have been with the downtown code. Now that we have some familiarity with it, we are bringing these changes forward to address some of the issues. You see up there just a quick list of them that we'll talk about here as we go through the presentation. So the first one is to add single-family attached as a housing type that you can use downtown. Single-family attached is allowed in other parts of the city. This is an ownership higher density product that you see kind of a picture of there. That is now permitted within the downtown code if the council approves this text amendment. Farmers market, public utility facilities, and remove some use conditions that are not applicable that didn't turn out to be needed as we've implemented the downtown code. We also are adding a frontage type. You see a couple different frontage types. The downtown code is a form-based code, so it really is about the design of buildings and that interaction of that first 20 feet of the building with the public space in the street that is really there to create activity that promotes walking, biking, and an active urban environment. It also eliminate a side yard in a couple of the character areas. It does also add some flexibility for projections in the right-of-way. One of the issues that we have learned about the downtown code is where we really want to promote shade and walking, and we have plans for trees. We run into some issues relative to utility easements, water and sewer lines, irregular lots. And so this allows for projections that would be from a building to provide shade in lieu of some of the trees, so that way we can provide a shaded walkway corridor in some of these areas where you can't plant trees. Other changes are clarifying some existing standards regarding parking and loading, and then we also built in a provision to allow for an alternative frontage type that could be proposed by a private developer and then reviewed and approved by the design review committee. This allows for someone to come in with a project and propose a different frontage and a design that could again get approved by the DRC in lieu of just meeting the prescribed ones in the ordinance. So the other issue, and this is one that drew a lot of concern from the downtown community as well, is the public utility facilities in buildings. And so one of the oversights in the downtown code did not have the provision to have a public utility facility or building, which is allowed in all the other zoning ordinance districts throughout the city. Even in single-family residential, we allow these types of local facilities to serve the electrical for the surrounding area. So we took a look at what lots of other big cities do where they allow them downtown. You see some pictures here that show where they just design a faux building frontage that looks like the rest of it. So this example here of these red bricks, the middle one here is a utility behind it, but these are both, walk-up townhouse, red brick on either side. Same with these examples down here and other ones here. It's quite common in other large cities. They do that to mask that public utility, but it is necessary to be located in key areas to serve that electricity that we all want and desire. We did have, based upon some of the community concerns and direction from the DAEI subcommittee, had additional outreach with downtown stakeholders and Arizona Public Service, and we came up with 3 options that are in the Addendum A staff report that came, or Addendum B staff report, I should say, I apologize, that we are asking council to approve today. The first one is a wall design that mimics the frontage type or character area, and so this would basically be you design something that is a faux frontage type like you just saw in those pictures, and then staff would review that, ensure that it meets the requirements, and then the DRC would also then review that to ensure it meets requirements. The second one would allow for a more creative use or frontage design alternative that could be worked out with the community and the design review committee and the applicant to work on whatever that may be, and then that would get approved by the DRC and then implemented. And the third one is a micro park option that has some standards that are outlined in the ordinance that talks about having to create an active outdoor space that would be kind of like a little mini park with some outdoor benches and seating, artwork, those types of things. They're all spelled out similar to what the subcommittee approved, to really address making that area and creating that activity be an outside as opposed to just something that would mask it. Staff does recommend that the council approve it per the Addendum B staff report language that was dated January 3rd, 2018. and adopt the related ordinance. And with that, we're happy to answer any questions.
Mayor?
Are there any questions? Councilman Nowakowski.
Yes, the question would be is, I know that our city's growing, especially the downtown area. And, you know, as Chris Mackey would say, downtown's hot. And we don't have that many parcels that the city of Phoenix actually owns. And one of those parcels that happens to be in my district is on 3rd Street in McKinley. And we've been hearing a lot of rumblings and community meetings that people are concerned about a future substation being put there from APS. And I've been told by staff that that's not on the table. I just want to make sure and on the record have somebody from APS, if they can tell us that it's not on the record. I mean, it's not on the table.
Kendra Lee? I mean, my understanding, and I don't know if who we speak to, but my understanding is that that's not on the table, but I would like to, what should we do? Direction. As I'm a rookie.
Vice Mayor Pastor,
As I'm a rookie.
members of the council. The site that Councilman Olkowski is referencing is a site that's a current parking lot in downtown that the city does own, that APS was interested in perhaps doing a substation down there. Because of discussions that APS has had with Councilman Nowakowski and others, they are no longer pursuing that site, and I think that's what Ms. Lee will talk to you about here, but they are going to have some broader outreach that will take place if this text amendment's approved.
Okay.
Yes.
Ms. Lee? Well, you know what? Let me do something. I'm going to open up the public hearing. That way we can go, because right now we're in the middle of just asking questions. So, open up the public hearing. Ms. Lee. Kendra.
Vice Mayor Pastor, council members, Mayor Stanton on the phone. My name is Kendra Lee. I work for APS. I am here today to talk in support, obviously, of item number 97, this approval of this text amendment. First of all, I just wanted to thank the entire city council and city staff, and especially the stakeholders within the community for working with us on coming to agreement regarding this text amendment. We do have to build a number of substations in the greater Phoenix downtown area, and one of them specifically, as Councilman Nowakowski mentioned, in the area of kind of the downtown core. We had originally looked at the property between 1st Street and 2nd Street on the south side of McKinley. We are not pursuing that site with the City of Phoenix, and instead, and it is a City of Phoenix-owned site, on lease to ASU under an agreement there. But we are instead focused on a much greater public outreach process that once this text amendment gets approved, then we would focus on an effort to identify sites within the downtown area that would be best feasible for the property, seek extensive community feedback regarding those locations, as well as the design for the substation. I would expect that we would not have that completed quickly. It will be an extensive process and lots of effort on behalf of the community and APS and the City of Phoenix to come to that. So it is our intent to hopefully move into construction sometime in 2019 and hopefully have a property at least identified by the end of 2018. Thank you.
Thank you. You had a card in, but I believe you covered it all.
Yes.
And then another card that is in favor is Dan Clockey, and wishes not to speak. All right, well, I'm going to close. Anybody else out there? Okay, I'm closing the public hearing. I need a motion.
Move approval of this item based on the December 16th memo from the Planning and Development Director and adopt the related ordinance.
There's a second. Roll call.
You know, any discussion on it?
Oh, yeah, sure. I thought you had already asked all the questions.
I have some more. So, you know, I've been hearing from some of the downtown stakeholders and developers about the concern of the design review process. I know that we're not talking about it now, but in the near future, when we come for a DTC text amendment, I like to look into the whole process of appeals. One of the things that we're hearing is that our planning and zoning, we actually have a process that we go through that's handled in-house. The only way that you can appeal the design review process is going to the Supreme Court. So I'd like to figure out if we can follow the same channels as we do with the planning and zoning, having some type of appeal process that finally gets to either the city council members here have a word in it, or that we have some type of a system in the city that people could appeal the process.
I did, and for the record, Vice Mayor, members of council, I would just like to clarify that I believe the correct motion that you would like to do is approve it per the Addendum B staff report dated January 3rd, 2018, and adopt the related ordinance.
Great. As the planning director has recommended.
Thank you.
There's a second.
The Design Review Committee comments that Councilman Nowakowski referenced would take part in a separate text amendment that would have to be fully vetted and talked about with the community. It deals with the downtown code, but it's a process item that would be a separate part of the ordinance to modify.
It's a separate discussion, right?
Correct,
Okay.
yes.
All right, but you got the notes.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else have any questions? Are you sure? Sure, Wary? Okay. Roll call.
Decio.
Yes.
Gallego.
Yes.
Nowakowski.
Yes.
Stark. Valenzuela.
Yes.
Waring. Williams. Pastor.
Yes.
Mayor Stanton.
Yes.
Passes 9-0. Item passes. We have one more citizen's comment, and that would be Leonard Clark.
Thank you, Mayor and Council, for letting me speak. My name is Leonard Clark. I, like you, am concerned about the pensions, and I know of an initiative that some citizens have filed in the city of Phoenix because of their concern, the concern that we all hold, for pensions getting out of control. But I would like to challenge you to think out of the box a little bit. You know that I was no fan of Joe Arpaio, sorry to my conservative friends, but there was something that I did like, and that was community policing. They did that through what they called a posse, which is very controversial if it is used the wrong way. But I'm talking about community policing in the neighborhoods where we're concerned in the future with the high cost of pensions. The Arizona Republic has, pointed out last year, roughly, there was like 30 individuals collecting pensions from the city of Phoenix, and they're making about $18,000 to $20,000 a month, and they were all city managers, police commanders, and police chiefs. I'm not here to denigrate their service, but the median average income of pensions by normal so-called people like myself, who, if you collect a pension, is about $30,000 a year from the city of Phoenix. So the only thing I'm concerned about with this initiative that some of you might be backing, and the citizens in Phoenix, to control the out-of-control costs of pensions, is that I do believe in the firefighters. Of course we need that, and we should not privatize our fire departments or our police. But in those neighborhoods where citizens are concerned, let's think out of the box. It's not really that new. We could have community policing. We could have police officers train some neighborhood community areas, and for people who are concerned about some people getting too much power, we could have a way to oversee that. This would be a way to have to not hire more police, in the, certain areas. We could have community policing, and certain police could come in as advisors, just like with the posse of Maricopa County. That way, they could be trained in cultural sensitivity and these types of things. But I cannot support any pension initiative at this point if you still have, an exception for the police, because they can train communities in our, we have like 5 different or 15 different city villages in the city of Phoenix. So I'm hoping you'll do that, because nobody, and that's the other thing, let's take a look at this. Nobody should be making $15,000 to $20,000 a month, maybe if you're in the private sector. But if you're just a so-called normal worker, you never made department agency head, I'm sorry, that is It's just not right while someone's making $30,000 a year on their pension, while a city manager, a police commander, a former police chief are getting $20,000 a month, 18 to 20,000, and take home 500,000 to cash in for all those sick days. We cannot overlook these other things. Thank you.
Thank you. We only had one citizen's comment. Meeting adjourned.